he was 80 over. He used a booyah the entire time. And once he got to a point where like he got too far left and he couldn't get the ball to finish, he just went back right and threw it harder. So that's kind of
what I saw after practice round. You and I spoke, and we had a surface plan for my stuff. I thought I had a pretty good indicator of what I was going to need. And then in practice, everything from you couldn't play the twig. You couldn't play 1 and 2 because afterwards I found out from one of the mechanics that the outside boards were nailed down. I think he said.
No, they screwed
them down.
The way the installation was, they were screwed down on one board all the way down. So it's almost like when you press down on the outside, it's like it makes an upside down bowl. So you get playing the outside and it never wants to get up the hill.
So what I found in practice game day is that everything I tried on practice, from 9 to the gutter, everything overreacted for me. I didn't really have anything smooth out there, so I had to get in. The trick that I had is once I got in far enough, I had to be so tight, because if you got outside, there was major hang. And it was funny because you'd throw 3 shots and you never knew what that 4th shot was going to do. So I kind of used that Strata Hybrid for a bit. I tried a lot of different things. I tried getting way in also, which was not consistent. So for me, it was very difficult. I don't know what the answer was. I just know that I didn't physically, I thought I threw the ball well, to be honest with you. I mean, I did. I felt I threw the ball well enough that I should have been able to score, but I don't think I had a piece in my hand that gave me any confidence, let's put it that way. The back 2 games, I used the Redemption Hammer solid with just a little bit of surface on it, really, nothing crazy, and that gave me the best look. But then I jumped in, like Tommy Jones was playing, I was kind of throwing it 15 to 10 and just firm, and I gave me the best look, and actually I shot my high game of the day of 192.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I mean,
that
I
tells
never
you how tough they were.
Yeah.
You got a high game of 190.
Yeah, I struggled.
You know, that's kind of funny. You think about, like, so my high game was only, what, 226 or something like that?
Do you win a pot with that?
Nope.
Pots were won that day. There was 2 pots in the first squad, and the 220s that won pots.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah. So my high game was like 226 or 225 or something like that, but my low game was 191. So you think about that. I lost so many pins by, I had 4 games in the 190s. And
but you only had 1 miss, didn't you?
I only had one missed makeable. It was 3-6-10. I chopped it, but yeah, other than that, and that didn't even cost me because I ended up missing by 28 pins or something. So that didn't cost me. It was 3 blower 710s that I feel really cost me, and then obviously multiple bad shots throughout the block. So I mean, you're gonna make bad shots and stuff, but my spare game was on point. I didn't miss any single pins, missed the 1 makeable, and then everything else, it seemed like every game I started with a split because it's like the next pair hooked that much more. So then I would, make the move off of it, and I'd throw like a double or a 3-bagger, and then all of a sudden I'd split again because, like you said, every 4 frames they changed.
Yeah, and I think your blower 710s were typically, from what I saw, like I said, I watched most of your games, I think they were typically later in the game, and as you were scooching in, you hit that point where now you were too far in and the ball just didn't have just enough. And one of them was like, I don't know how that left that, but I think that's what happened. Because like I said, every 4 shots you were moving.
Shut the door.
We got a little vacuum problem going on, but we'll take care of that. Yeah, every 4 shots you had to move, and it was a guess. And if you guessed wrong, here come the 710 or something, or worse. There was a lot of funky leaves, I'll tell you what, this weekend.
Yeah, I had 2 of the 710s were in the same game. And then another game I had a 4-9 and a 710. So, and those were both 190 games. So it's like, man, I don't want to say I didn't get any breaks, because obviously I had a few breaks throughout the day, but it's just one of those days where, they're so hard that you have to catch a couple of those breaks, and then you got to take advantage of them as well. So just one of those times when I didn't do it. But the good news is that's 4 regionals in. I've cashed all 4 times. The bad news is I've only made match play once, so. But
you're there. You're right knocking on the door. I think you've added a couple pieces to your arsenal that are going to help. From my perspective, I know we talk about bowling every day because that's what we do. But
Yeah, we're always here. What else are we going to talk about?
so, but I think all in all, it was just a very tough regional. I mean, that happens. I mean, it just happens. And anyone that knows me, you'll hear me say this. I've been saying this for a million years. Every time you bowl an event, I don't care what the event is, somebody, one or two people are always going to find it. I don't care if you're bowling on a frozen lake or if you're bowling on a gym floor. Somebody's going to find it. And that happened here. We had a couple players that were like, well, one was a lefty, so that don't count.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, but Tommy was only 170 over, so it's not like he...
But he was 100 pins better than most of the best players in the Central and East regions. So, he found it. And then Packy, who I crossed with, he obviously found it. I mean, he was in second after qualifying.
Yeah, but then he fell completely apart the next day.
Yeah.
Because then he ended up averaging less than 200 for the rest of, all of his games combined ended up being less than 200. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to watch him on the finals, but he was slow rolling urethane as a two-handed lefty, and he had a little bit of a look. I mean, he was 140 over.
I think it was like 120 something.
Yeah, something like that. It was pretty good. He was, and then the third and down were a lot less, obviously, but. When you put 80 whatever spots it is out there and more than half the field is under with these guys that are out there bowling, that's telling you that the shot was tough.
Yeah, for sure. And you don't see them that tough very often. Usually there's a defined hook spot or something that you can do. Like for me, I use urethane for the first 6 games. I use both, a little bit of the old Purple Hammer and then the new Purple Hammer as well. The old one seemed to have given me a better look, and I'm going to explain that a little bit, in a different video when I do my urethane reviews. But the old one gave me a little bit better look than the new one.
Did you get into the tank?
I tried it on, I think, a fill ball, but it was too clean.
Yeah.
Like the Purple Hammers could read soon enough. The tank was a little too clean. Gave me a little squirt out of it. So maybe if I had a tank with
surface,
really big surface on it,
yeah,
I think I could have done a little bit more with it. But hindsight's always 20/20. You never,
obviously.
Yeah, looking back at it, I probably would have changed the surface of one of my urethane balls to give me something a little bit more once I got further left, because I got out of the urethane once I got further left and I watched my ball 2-pin or flat 10. So now I'm flat 10, 2-pin, and it's like, all right, I gotta find a way to get the ball to go through the pins. And then that other kid started throwing that Zen. Zen looked pretty good, so...
Yeah, actually, Zen looked real good for a few shots.
Now, I'll tell you what was really confusing for me is, and it didn't matter which ball it was, when I first grabbed a new ball, it would seem like it would get so much further down lane. Now, normally it's backwards. Normally my first shot hooks more than any other, and then as you throw more shots, oil gets on the ball, and usually the ball straightens out a little bit, or at least gets a little bit cleaner. This was the opposite. This one, my first shot was cleaner, and then the next couple shots hooked more. So when I pulled that Zen out, I threw the first shot, it went down lane, kicked left, 10 back, great. I'm like, all right, great, good guess, good move. Very next shot, I 3-6-10. I make a small move off of it, and then I big 4 or something. It was just...
That's exactly what you did.
It was amazing that after, and they weren't bad shots. All of them were pretty dang good. So now I'm, switching balls, trying to figure out a ball that's going to be cleaner, that's going to get me through there, because there's a lot of hook. There was a lot of lefties there because it was a shorter pattern. So whenever it's 40 feet or less, all the lefties come out of the woodwork. So you see a lot more traction on the left side of the lane, and then now we got to cross into that. You get those shorter patterns that, not the real short patterns that force you right, but the 39, 38, 37 feet where you then get chased left. You get far enough to where you're crossing into the lefty's track, and it causes problems. So
absolutely.
That's tough when it gets to that point.
And I think we're not making any excuses here, but it's from an understanding perspective. These lanes were the original Brunswick Anvil lanes, like the first version. Probably the first week they made them. These things were old, and you could see they were beat up. That it is what it is, but I'm just explaining this, so you're probably saying, well, that pattern shouldn't have played like that. You're right, it shouldn't have played like that. Yeah. It could have hooked more, or it could have hooked less, but it would have been more consistent. This wasn't consistent. There wasn't anything, there was no possible way you were staying in a zone for more than maybe a game and a half. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, even with the urethane balls, you were bouncing left pretty
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah, you were moving.
Yeah, so, and you couldn't play straight with the urethane, you know, because it gave you the early hook and it went through the face, and then when you opened it up a little bit further right, it never hooked.
No.
So it forced you to go further left to that like 12, 13, 14 range to start.
Yep.
And then I got all the way into like 19, 20 with it, and that's when I had to bail and get out of it.
The only person that I saw playing out was Jeremy, I can't remember his last name, from New Jersey. Very nice guy, but he plays out all the time. I mean, that's what he does. That's his game. That's it. And, you know, he manufactured some stuff out there, but he still doesn't have what I would call a look. He was manufacturing hand position and staying way, way, way out. But that it was very difficult to do something like that.
And he loves doing that little loft thing where he gets it going 10 feet down the lane.
Yeah.
And taking the fronts out of play. So
Yep.
he's pretty good at it.
Yeah, I mean, if you can loft it and hit the 3-board every time, that gets a different look that I don't have.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm too old to start working on stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and definitely no excuses. This is more of just kind of let you guys know what was going on, what we saw. You look at the scores and kind of wonder what the heck happened. Why did everybody score so bad? Well, this is why. Because it was really hard. It was difficult. It was hard to find a consistent ball reaction throughout the day. And even when you thought you found one, it wasn't there for long, you know. So it was a constant grind, constant move. And if your spare game wasn't there and you couldn't catch, you know, enough doubles throughout the day, those 210s just weren't there to be had. You were shooting 190 or worse every time. So I'm not going to say that there was any advantage for rev rate or anything like that. I think it was just more of it was shot making, and if you had the right ball in your hand, you were in good shape, you know. So it's kind of all I have on that.
Absolutely. I mean, I was able to get in. I mean, I got all the way into about 20, and I could get it back to the pocket, but I couldn't consistently do it. So because, like I said, you know, every third, fourth shot, you had to make the right move or change a piece or whatever, because if you didn't, you were going to leave something crazy. It was tough, no doubt about it.
Yeah. So today we started a new video series we're going to do. Dr. G over here is actually going to start doing some ball reviews. So the first one he did was the Purple Hammer. We did it on lane 40. We did some review with that where he's talking through his shot, just kind of like what you see from me. And even I kind of chime in a little bit throughout where I'll be mic'd up and you'll hear me in the background a little bit too. But it's going to be good for those 350 and lower rev rate type guys, or the older guys, or people that want to just see something different. Because honestly, people probably get a little bit tired of seeing me with my medium to medium high rev rate saying I don't throw it like that. So how the heck am I going to really, you know, judge what
medium,
judge what you know, what ball reaction is if I don't throw it anything like you. So I try to give you as much information as I can, but I think this is the best way to go about it for now, is to get somebody out there that can, you know, have a lot less rev rate, you know, so.
Yeah, and I think what's going to happen with this is, I mean, obviously, Jared's got high rev rate. I don't have that rev rate. I'm 60 plus years old. I'm an old guy. In fact, a lot of young guys call me the old guy. Anyway, point is, we're going to do this 350 and lower rev rate. We're going to see me out there throwing shots, and it's going to be the same thing. They're going to be uncut. You're going to see me miss once in a while. I'm not perfect. I was pretty amazed with the hammer today, the Purple Hammer. It was, you'll see on the video, I've said I haven't used a hammer, a urethane ball since probably the early 90s. And I remember the last urethane ball I had was the red pearl hammer. And it didn't react like this. I can assure you of that. So you'll see me start. I'm going to pretty much follow in JR's footsteps. I'm going to start out and I'm going to work my way in. There will be a point when I'm not going to get past 20-ish, most likely. We'll try, but I'll show you from my perspective what it looks like in my hands. Now here's the key. We pretty much are going to cut everything, and we do cut everything. Pretty much the same layout for JR on everything he uses. We determine that that's the best thing and the most fair thing to do, and I'm going to do the same thing. So you're going to see very consistent between balls. The layouts will be very, very similar, if not exact, and mostly exact. And JR, so you'll see what it looks like with a 350 rev rate, and you'll see what it looks like with a 450 plus rev rate.
Yeah. So, you know, and we may even do some videos where we're kind of bowling together. you know, we mix them up together and get both people in out there throwing them, doing some comparison and stuff, and you know, maybe do some challenges and things too. So it'll be kind of cool, kind of like what you saw with me and Mason at one point when we were doing some different challenge type stuff. But you know, I got to get him some Ben Gay before he gets going, so we can get him loose and be able to actually throw the ball. You should have heard him complaining when he came in today. Man, I'm so old. He walked in with his cane. It was pretty funny. Like, I can't barely walk today. It's gonna be hard to do a ball review.
I almost had to use the ramp. But well, you know, here's the thing, and it'll be good when we start doing the challenge thing, because you know what? It happens to you. If you decide to go out and bowl in a regional, or if you go bowl in a tournament, or even your league, and you've got youngsters on there that are revving it up and they're left of you, we'll see some really neat things happen at the break point. And as we're bowling together, you'll see that. He's going to be left of me. He's going to start left of me all the time. So that'll be neat, because we're going to be at the same break point and we're going to see what happens, because I'll be straighter, and that'll help you come up and decide of how you're going to combat that, because it happens all the time in any type of tournament environment and even your league environment. Me, I bowl league, but I bowl with 55 plus guys. Some of the best guys out of Detroit, but it's 55 plus. So it'll be interesting. It'll be real interesting.
Yeah, one of the new things we got coming up, it's not really that new now. We've done a few classes already. We're in the midst of our second session on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, but now we're going to be doing the off-season training. Again, we're going to start one on Mondays, and it'll be at 6:30 or 6 or somewhere along those lines. It'll be for 6 weeks long. It's probably going to start in about 3 weeks from today, actually. And we'll get going. It'll be 6 weeks. It'll lead right into the season for the most part. And then eventually here soon, within the next couple of weeks, we're going to try to figure out how to do an advanced class as well. And that one it probably will go into the season. And we'll have to do it we'll try to figure out when we can do it. But we're going to do more of an advanced one. So for those of you who've already done the off-season training for the original basic fundamentals and all that stuff, we're going to do an advanced class too. So like this one, we had 6 weeks where we talked about, the very first week we talk about checking fit. We're out there checking your fit, making sure everything's good. I'm telling you right now, probably 8 out of 10 people in class have to have some kind of a change to make it fit them properly. And then once we do that change, they're like, holy cow, I had no idea a ball was supposed to fit like this. Like, well, yeah, I mean, you're supposed to be able to hold on to it without actually trying to hold on to it. They have no idea. So it's kind of cool to see, you know, the wow factor come in, where people are just, you see them get all big-eyed, like, holy cow, this is completely different. So it's pretty new. So then we talk about ball dynamics, layouts, and stuff like that. We really don't go into layouts very much. It's actually more just ball dynamic stuff. The layout stuff is more going to be saved for the advanced classes and all that. The next week we do building an arsenal. We talk about the release, and we do drills on the lanes with the release. We do a lot of physical game stuff on the third week with more practice drills, more lane practice. Then we talk about lane graphs, lane variables, lane play practice and stuff again, and then knowing your game, the numbers, your tilt, your rotation, your axis tilt, your axis rotation, all that stuff. And then we put it all together, and we talk about the mental side at the very end. So I think with the first couple classes that we did, I think it was a really big success, and I think that's why we filled up so fast for the second one, for the second session. So,
well, we've got multiple college bowlers in our class. We've got multiple high school bowlers in our class. We've had a bowling coach in our class. We've had some players that play in the PBA in our class. We got a
pro
guy.
shop guys in the class.
We have a pro shop guy in the class, right? And we have one guy. Now check this out. We have one guy that drives from Cleveland. Yes, Cleveland, Ohio, to get here with his wife.
Every week.
Every week.
Another guy from Grand Rapids.
Grand Rapids, yep. So we're getting folks from all over, and we're going to continue to do this. Next year it'll be, this was our first year, so next year it'll be more organized. We'll have a lot more defined days, and we might even go 4 days a week if we have to next summer, because the demand is crazy right now. Okay. And I think you're going to see that the training is going to really, really, really impact you in a positive way. Let's go back to fit just for a second. Jar said 8 out of 10 bowlers had to change their fit. If your fit hurts, if your grip hurts, it's wrong. If you got big bumps on your knuckles, your thumb, your fingers, I don't care. It's wrong. Come see us. We'll get it fixed out. We can fix it. It'll take time for the bumps to go away and the pain to go away, a little bit for the pain to go away, but we'll get it. We see some messed up hands in here, and That's the first thing I look at is your hand. You want to look at my hand? There's 50-some years of bowling in there. You don't see a bunch of crap in my hand because it's been fit right, because I fit it. Anyway, we've tweaked it. JR and I have tweaked it.
He's only tooting his own horn, no big deal.
Well, JR and I have tweaked it a little bit to make it even better, but you know, we've had people come in that say that, you know, they can only bowl 3 games. Why? Because their hand hurts. Shouldn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a process too. It's not a, you know, your hand's always changing. Like I've changed my fit so many different times because I'm getting older. You start to get into your 30s and even higher.
Right.
As you get older, your hand changes a lot. Your flexibility changes. Things just change. So you constantly have to look at it. So every year you probably should have your fit looked at.
At a minimum.
Yeah.
At a minimum.
And every year there's probably going to be some kind of a change. You know?
And if you bowl a lot, I would say every 6 months. I mean, if you're a regional player, tour player, whatever it is, you should check that fit and your grips for sure to ensure that everything's fit correctly. And one of the biggest things we see is change your darn grips.
Yeah.
Those grips don't last all season. You have to change them out. And we get guys in here that bowl out on tour. And they're like, when's the last time you changed this grip? Because it looks like an original.
Yeah.
So you change your grips out.
They're not oval anymore. They're like triangles.
Yeah. So that's hurting you. It's hurting your game. You're not going to have the same feel. You're not going to, it changes your span when they get worn out. And then you get used to that span, and then when you put new grips in, it's like, oh, this doesn't fit. Well, of course it doesn't fit.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing to me how many people say, they're like, I haven't changed my fit in 10 years.
Right.
Okay, and how has your game changed over the time? No, it hasn't changed at all. Okay, well so
their
you're
hand
not getting any better and you're not getting any worse.
But their hand looks like an eagle claw.
Usually, yeah. Or the meat claw, that's what Mike Eaton's called it. The meat claw. Pretty funny. But I think that's all we got. I'm getting hot. I got to open this door and get some air in here. I don't know why it's so hot in here, but it is. But that's all we got. We were just going to chat for a little bit and let you guys know what was going on with some of the new stuff. So,
absolutely.
Anything else to add?
Nope, I think we're good.
Okay. Well, we'll see you guys next time whenever we decide to do this. Take care.
The X-Men are out.